Assalamu alaikum. May the peace, love, and blessings of Allah be with you. And welcome to session number 3 of Ramadan transformation. And today we're going to get really deeply into the thing that causes all of this psychological transformation that we've been talking about. And the thing that causes it is something that I call the inside-out paradigm. Now, the inside-out paradigm, it's just a simple understanding. And it's the basis of all of the work I do. And it simply states that, now here's the thing, before I tell you about the paradigm, it might seem weird. So I hope that over the last couple of sessions, it's clear that I'm going to be talking a lot more about mindset, a lot more about your psychology, a lot more about human psychological functioning and about the self, so that you can understand your nafs, because you can't master your nafs until you understand it. And you can't transform your life until you get how your mind already works. Okay? Because otherwise you're just taking a shot in the dark. And so when I say the inside out paradigm, what I mean specifically is the idea that feeling and thought are inseparable. Feeling and thought are like this. They're two sides of the same coin. They are inseparable. There's no such thing as feeling without thought. So right now, as you're watching this or listening to this, you're having an experience. You're feeling something. You're experiencing the world around you. You're experiencing the room around you. You're hearing the sound of my voice, and if you're watching, then you're seeing me. And all of that experience, everything that you're experiencing right now is coming to you via the power of thought. Now, the most important salient point here is that feeling and thought are inseparable. Now, why should that be a big deal? Why is that so important that it causes this whole big transformation? It brings you closer to Allah. It helps you master your nafs. It helps you, increases your consciousness and all these things. Why does that one simple truth do that? Well, this is one of a few truths I'm going to share with you, but it's by far the most important, by far. And the reason this is the most important truth for you to get is that it lays out a completely new paradigm for human psychology. And a completely new paradigm from which we can really start understanding our own spirituality. How? The problem isn't that thought and feeling are inseparable. I mean, that's just common sense if you think about it. What I'm saying is, if you're feeling sad, you're having sad thinking. If you're feeling happy, you're having happy thinking. If you're feeling guilty, you're having guilty thinking. If you're feeling ecstatic, you have ecstatic thinking in the moment. So to summarize this paradigm in one sentence, you are living in the feeling of thought in the moment. In fact, you're always living in the feeling of thought in the moment. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal right now, right? Well, as you continue listening to each of these Ramadan transformation sessions, you're going to see how it's actually a huge deal. And the reason it's a huge deal isn't because, the fact that feeling comes from thought isn't the big deal. The big deal is that this is true for every human being on the face of the earth right now. It's been true for you since the moment you opened your eyes, the moment you were born and looked at the world. This was true. And it will be true until the moment you die. And it is true for every human being since Adam alayhi salatu wasalam until the end of time. Right? So, okay, now it's seeming like a bit of a bigger deal. Well, it's an even bigger deal than that. Because we know that this is a truth, we now have a foundation upon which we can build all of our understanding of spirituality and all of our understanding of psychology. And by the way, so I'm going to use psychology and spirituality interchangeably because they're both the same thing. Psychology is the logic of the psyche, and the psyche isn't physical. The psyche is spiritual. It's the essence of who you are. So really, we're exploring the essence of who you really are. So the big deal isn't that feeling comes from thought. The big deal is that feeling never comes from anything aside from thought. There is no such thing as feeling without thought. And why is that a big deal? Because you'll come to notice and you'll come to realize you've been living maybe 80% of your life, maybe 90%, maybe 95%, as though that isn't true. Now, I don't know if it's 80%. Maybe for you, you've been living 10% of your life as though that isn't true. But here's what's really interesting. The really interesting thing is every time you have a problem, that problem occurs because you've created the illusion of separation between feeling and thought. In other words, I'll give you a few quick examples. You hurt me. If I say you hurt me, then I'm saying my feeling of hurt came from you. See what that is? I'm separating the power of thought from the feeling of hurt, which is impossible. You can't hurt me. That's more true. You make me feel loved. Oh, such a nice thing to say. But it's also not true, because the feeling of love doesn't come from another person. Another person can act loving and can be loving, but the feeling of love comes via the power of thought. Everything you feel and everything you experience comes to you via the power of thought. Now, we're going to go much more into this over the next few sessions, and this is going to be a critical thing for you to understand in order for you to learn to master your nafs during this Ramadan. And today, as you're fasting, I want you to notice that sometimes you're fasting and you feel so spiritual and so connected with Allah and so like, oh, Ramadan's amazing. And other times you're fasting and you're like, you feel like you could bite a horse because you're so hungry and grumpy. Hunger is a circumstance. Hunger comes down to how much food happens to be in your stomach right now. But that's not where your feeling comes from, because you can be hungry and feel really deeply spiritually connected with Allah. Or you can feel hungry and feel like beating someone up and feel like beating someone up unless they give you food, right? Your circumstances aren't causing your feelings. Your thought in the moment causes feelings. And understanding this, although that in and of itself, maybe that doesn't cause transformation, but it's the paradigm of transformation. The fact that it's impossible for you to ever feel anything without the power of thought powering that system has a lot of implications. And one of the things you'll notice about how we continue these sessions is I'm not going to be telling you things to do. I'm not going to be stopping you from doing anything either. The aim isn't for me to give you more to do. The aim is for these sessions to take a load off your mind. Tomorrow, in tomorrow's session, we're going to explore the impact that this paradigm has and what it means to say this huge statement I'm making, this huge, William James, the psychologist, said, when human beings discover the fundamental principles of psychology, it will be the biggest leap in for humanity since discovering fire. So this isn't a small thing. Inshallah, we'll continue this in our next session. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And may the peace, love, and blessings of Allah be with you always.